I used to think the worst thing I ever built was a classifier. That is the word I still use when I need to sound normal in legal documents. A classifier, a model, a voice tool, a mental health screening app that listened to 10 seconds of speech and gave people a risk estimate. That sounds clean. It sounds modern. It sounds like something investors can understand. It was not clean. My name is Leo Stern. I was 34 when this happened. I lived in Palo Alto, worked for a startup called Mind Echo, and believed in math because math had never asked me to guess what it meant. People did that. Numbers did not. At least, that is what I thought. Mind Echo was supposed to help people. That part is true. The app used a phone microphone to analyze speech patterns for depression, anxiety, PTSD, and early psychosis. Users read one sentence 3 times. I am present in this room, and my voice belongs to me. That sentence was not mine. It came from Dr. Harris Vane, one of our founders. He said it was from an old grounding protocol. I thought it was awkward, but useful. It gave the model the same vowels, pauses, breath pressure, and throat strain across different users. People liked it. They liked seeing a score. They liked the feeling that their suffering had a shape. We had hospitals interested. We had investors calling us every week. We had an FDA pathway, or at least Harris said we did. Nobody in the office slept much, but everyone acted like exhaustion was just part of building the future. I found the other pattern by accident. It was 3:04 a.m. on a Wednesday. The office coffee machine kept running its cleaning cycle and spitting water into the tray. I was comparing older clinical voice data sets with newer Mind Echo samples, trying to reduce false positives for psychosis. I was also on Adderall, not prescribed to me. I'm saying that because it matters. My attention got narrow, too narrow. I stopped looking at speech and started looking under speech. Most of what I found was nothing. Air conditioning, traffic, cheap phone microphones, compression artifacts, refrigerator hum, breath hitting the mic. Then I saw the same low-frequency pattern appear in a few samples. It sat around 17.4 hertz, too low for most people to hear clearly, but the body reacts to frequencies like that. People feel pressure, nausea, dread, the sense that someone else is in the room. I built a side model to isolate it. I did not tell anyone. I called it Possession Index, because it was nearly 4 in the morning and I thought the name was funny. It was not part of the official app. It did not diagnose anything. It only looked for that strange pattern inside the voice and the silence around it. The scale went from 0 to 100. When I tested it against old clinical recordings, 3 samples came back above 90. The first was a man in Ohio who killed his family and told police a voice from the vent had ordered it. The second was a woman who stepped off a hotel balcony smiling because, according to the transcript, someone told her she already knew how to fly. The third was a priest who sealed himself in a church basement and screamed for hours that something had found the door. I told myself the model was wrong. I told myself old recordings were contaminated. I told myself I had trained it badly and given myself a creepy number because I named it badly. At 6:18 a.m., I moved the model into a private folder and marked it Do Not Deploy. 5 days later, it deployed. The official reason was a pipeline merge error. That is true, but it is not enough. We were preparing a hospital beta and an internal debug panel got bundled into production for 1 hour and 7 minutes. During that hour, 40,000 users opened Mind Echo. 312 of them saw a possession index above 85. One of them was Sarah Keller in Phoenix. Her score was 97.4. 2 weeks before I saw Sarah's police interview, she fell asleep in her bedroom with earbuds in. She was listening to a self-help podcast about breathing through anxiety. Her husband Mark was asleep beside her. Their cat was at the foot of the bed. At 2:13 a.m., the podcast cut to white noise for 3 seconds. Not loud, not dramatic, just 3 seconds of wrong sound. Sarah moved in her sleep, but she did not wake up. The next morning, the kitchen camera recorded her making toast. Mark asked if she wanted to drive to Scottsdale that weekend. She said maybe. She scratched the cat under the chin. Everything looked ordinary. Then Mark left the room. Sarah leaned toward the cat.
You know how easy it is to break a person's spine? 2 inches below the skull. You press there. Not hard, just right. Try him when he sleeps. He won't wake up.
The cat hissed and ran under the table. Sarah blinked, looked confused, and poured orange juice into Mark's coffee mug. She did not remember saying it. I did not know any of that when the first support ticket came in. It arrived the morning after the update.
I opened the app and now my phone keeps whispering when it's locked. I know how that sounds. Please don't send me a crisis line link. I already called one. They heard it too.
6 minutes later, another ticket came in.
Why does the app know my dead mother's nickname for me?
Then more. People said they heard whispering from speakers that were turned off. They said the app repeated private memories in their own voice. They said their houses had gone too quiet except for the vents. They said the number made them feel seen by something that had been waiting in the background. Harris called an emergency meeting at 11:30 a.m. He sat at the head of the glass conference table and spoke calmly, like calm could become reality if he used enough of it.
We showed vulnerable users an alarming internal metric. They reacted. This is exactly why raw diagnostic outputs should never be user-facing.
Raw outputs do not make people hear voices from locked phones.
Maya,
We need to pull the app.
pulling it implies causation.
Leaving it up implies we are comfortable testing causation on the public.
That was Maya Chen. She was our AI ethics lead. 31. Precise. Not easily impressed. She had been hired to make sure Mind Echo did not hurt people in the boring ways technology usually hurts people. Bias, privacy, bad clinical claims, overconfidence. She was the first person to understand that the harm was stranger than that. After the meeting, she found me in the stairwell. The emergency light above us hummed softly.
You know what this is.
No?
Leo,
I know what the model is seeing. That is not the same as knowing what it is.
show me.
I should have lied. I should have said it was a bug and walked away. Instead, I showed her the private folder. I showed her the old cases, the high scores, the frequency cluster, the change in user samples after the number appeared. That was the part I could not explain away. The low frequency pattern was stronger after people saw their score, not before. After. That should have been impossible. The score was only a number on a screen. It could not change the earlier recording. It could not reach backward into the file. So I checked timestamps, cache writes, server versions, compression, time zones, everything. The files were clean.
Does the index predict it?
I thought so.
You don't know.
I think the index finds something latent in the voice, something sleeping. Then when the person sees the score, they become aware of it.
And then?
Then something becomes aware of them.
Something.
I don't have a better word.
A pattern does not know dead mothers' nicknames.
Neither does an app.
Then we shut it down.
I wanted to say yes immediately. I wanted to be that kind of person. Instead, I thought about audit trails, investors, clinical partners, lawsuits, my hidden model, the name Possession Index. The fact that I had put a joke label on something that now seemed to be hurting people. Give me 1 hour.
You already gave it one.
By evening, MindEcho released a statement. We called it a temporary interface issue. We said an experimental wellness metric had been displayed accidentally. We said there was no evidence of direct harm. At 7:04 p.m., Sarah Keller killed her husband. She pressed her thumb into the base of his skull while he slept. One movement, one correct angle. No fight, no broken furniture, no defensive wounds. When police arrived, Sarah was sitting beside the bed with her hands folded in her lap.
Ma'am, do you understand what happened here?
My husband was in the way.
In the way of what?
Reception.
Sarah had lived in Arizona all her life. In the interrogation, her accent was gone. She spoke with a flat Midwestern rhythm she had never had before.
He made too much noise when he breathed. It kept interrupting the instruction.
What instruction?
The one underneath.
Maya sent me that clip with no subject line. I watched it in the office bathroom. The sink turned on by itself while I was standing there. I had not moved my hands under it. After Sarah, the reports became harder to ignore. In Chicago, a teenager with an index of 91 walked into his school gym with a kitchen knife. He did not attack anyone. He sat down at center court, placed the knife on the floor, and sang for 11 minutes. The recording was later reviewed by linguists. They said parts of it resembled Akkadian. Not clean, not academic. Broken, like something remembered through a damaged mouth. The translated line that stayed with me was simple. Open the door. I did not come to kill. I came to remember. In Seattle, an elderly man named Robert Gless shut off every appliance in his house, taped foil over the windows, and stopped eating. After 3 days, police forced the door. They found him sitting cross-legged in the living room. His phone was in front of him. The battery should have been dead. It showed 100%. MindEcho was open. Possession Index 100.
I am not Robert now. I am a receiver. You will be too. Just turn on.
The FBI came, but not for demons in phones. They came for privacy violations, medical claims, unsafe diagnostics, unauthorized exposure of health metrics. All reasonable, all useless. By then, I had started trying to build a suppression model. That was my first real attempt to fix it. If the frequency could be isolated, it could be canceled. Every wave had an inverse. Every signal could be interfered with. I drove south and checked into a motel outside Gilroy under my middle name. I paid cash, which felt clever for about 30 seconds. The clerk still scanned my ID and yawned. The room smelled like bleach and old carpet. The wall unit rattled every few minutes. I put my phone inside the microwave because I had read that it blocks signals. I did not turn the microwave on. For 4 hours, I worked on the anti-model. Every test failed the same way. Every cancellation attempt returned 17.4 hertz. At 3:08 a.m., someone knocked on my motel door. 3 taps, then silence. I checked the peephole. Harris Vane stood in the hallway, wearing a gray cardigan and no coat. I had not told him where I was.
Leo, open the door before you do something permanent.
How did you find me?
Your car has connected services. Your phone was not the only thing talking.
That answer was plausible. I hated that it was plausible. I opened the door with the chain on. You knew about the frequency.
Let me in.
Say it from there. He looked tired, not scared. That made me feel childish.
In 1994, I worked at a private clinic in Menlo Park. Not officially. It was a funded trial for treatment-resistant schizophrenia. We used sensory modulation, sleep interruption, low-frequency stimulation. It was unethical. I am not going to soften that.
You found 17.4.
We found patients who heard the same voice, different histories, different diagnoses, different medications, same phrases, same timing. Sometimes they repeated things staff had said in rooms they had never entered.
You recorded it?
We recorded everything.
What was it?
We called it the Phantom Operator.
That is not an answer.
It is the only honest one I have.
I shut the door, removed the chain, and opened it again. I still do not know why. Maybe because fear wants company. Harris came in and sat by the window. He looked at the microwave.
Is your phone in there?
Yes.
Good.
Good?
It buys quiet, not safety.
He told me the old study had ended after 3 researchers killed themselves and 1 disappeared. He said every tape made the next patient worse. He said the more clearly they measured the signal, the more clearly it answered. Then why build Mind Echo?
I thought standardization would help us avoid it.
The sentence came from the clinic.
Yes.
I am present in this room and my voice belongs to me.
It was a grounding phrase.
It was a doorbell. The microwave beeped once. We both turned. The display showed 0.03, then 0.02, then 0.01. I pulled the cord from the wall. The display stayed lit. 0, 0, 0. The microwave door clicked open. My phone was inside, screen on. Mind Echo had opened. Test complete. Possession index 94.0. I had not recorded a sample. The phone speaker crackled. Sarah Keller's voice came out, but there was something low beneath it.
You did not run it. I did. Thank you for the code, Leo. It is clean. You made a very nice handle.
I took the small hammer from my tool bag and smashed the phone on the bathroom tile. Once. Twice. Then until the screen went black. The laptop on the desk brightened. Possession index 96.8. Then 96.8. Harris moved toward the door. Help me.
I am sorry.
Help me.
There is no closing a line once it knows both ends.
I hit him. Not hard enough to injure him badly. Hard enough that he fell into the dresser. I'm not proud of it. I'm also not as sorry as I should be. Harris left before dawn. 3 days later, police found him in that same motel room. He was lying on the bed, eyes open, smiling. His phone was in his hand. The screen showed 100.0. There was one voice memo.
I finally hear clearly. I am sorry for the noise.
Maya and I met in a parking garage in San Jose. Public places felt safer. Private places felt easier to record. That was the kind of logic we were living on. She had cut her hair short with scissors, badly. She said it kept brushing the microphone on her earbuds, and she could not stand accidental static anymore. Her phone was wrapped in foil and sealed inside a metal cookie tin.
I copied the high index list before the FBI took the servers.
How many?
312 original, but that number doesn't matter anymore.
It matters.
It counted the first doors. It doesn't count rooms.
She showed me voice clips from people who had never installed MindEcho, but had spoken to users who had. Sarah's nurse, Robert's daughter, a school counselor in Chicago. Their scores were lower, 60s, 70s, but rising.
It spreads through voice. Maybe not always. Maybe it needs attention, fear, repetition. But the app was not the carrier. The app was the first mass exposure.
Then we destroy the servers anyway.
That's cleanup, not cure.
What is cure? She opened a scanned archive document from Harris's private files. Menlo Park Behavioral Research Annex, March 1994. Audio Reel 7B. Phantom Operator Baseline. Original analog capture.
The first clean recording.
You want to delete a file.
Not delete, burn the original carrier.
That is superstition.
So is the index name.
The storage address was in Nevada, east of Reno, behind an old agricultural supply company. We drove through the night in Maya's Subaru with the radio fuse pulled. Every hour, one of us had to speak, not because silence was dangerous by itself, because too much silence made us start listening under it. At 1:20 a.m., Maya asked what my mother called me when I was little. Lee.
Does anyone else know that?
Some people.
The voice in my hotel shower used it.
I kept my hands on the wheel. When?
Before I found you in the stairwell.
You didn't tell me.
You would have looked at me like Data.
She was right. At 3:45 a.m., we stopped for gas. Maya went inside for coffee. I stood by the car. A man at the next pump turned his head slightly. I had not seen him arrive.
99.4 is not fatal.
I pulled the nozzle out too early and spilled gas over my shoe. What did you say?
Nothing. You okay, man?
His voice was normal now. I got back in the car before Maya returned. I did not tell her. By sunrise, we reached the storage lot. Unit C-14 had burned recently. The walls inside were black. The shelves had collapsed. Metal boxes were warped on the floor. The smell was wet ash and melted plastic. Maya cut the new padlock. We found the tape recorder under a fallen shelf. One reel had melted. The other looked damaged but intact. Next to it was an envelope in a plastic sleeve. Harris's handwriting.
Leo, if you are reading this, then I failed twice. I burned the working copy in 1998. I burned the archive this morning. But one reel was not ours. I kept it because I thought older meant safer. That was vanity. The signal was not captured in 1994. We only made it legible. This remaining reel predates us. No label. No acquisition record. I do not know where it came from. I am sorry. I thought measurement was containment.
Maya stared at the recorder.
We burn it now.
We carried it outside and put it in a rusted metal barrel behind the units. Maya poured lighter fluid over it. Her hands shook once, then stopped.
Say something normal.
I hate the smell of lighter fluid.
Good.
She lit a match. The reel caught slowly. The tape tightened, curled, and split. For 30 seconds, I thought we had done something. Then, the smoke stopped moving. Not slowed, stopped. It hung above the barrel like it had been paused. The barrel began to hum, low enough that I felt it in my knees. There were no speakers, no phones, no vents, no power cables. The hum came from us. I heard it in my own throat first, a vibration under breath. Maya clamped her hands over her ears.
It's inside.
Don't listen to it.
That is not something I can do.
Her eyes looked normal. That made it worse. Then she opened her mouth and spoke with two voices.
You keep burning paper after reading the address.
Stop!
You keep breaking phones after answering the call.
Maya.
She is here. She is not gone. She is watching from the back of the room.
At first, I thought it meant the thing inside her. Then I saw where her eyes had gone. Behind me, in the black glass of the storage office window, my mother was reflected. She had been dead 9 years. She stood only in the glass, not in the lot, not beside the barrel, in the reflection, wearing the blue sweater from the hospice. I did not turn around. I almost did.
Lee.
Not Maya's voice. Not fully.
You built something because you wanted the world to answer cleanly. It does not. It answers with what is available.
What are you?
Not what, not who. Those are shapes you use because you need edges.
Are you in her?
No.
Then where are you?
Between
Between what?
question and permission.
Maya dropped to her knees. I caught her before she hit the ground. When she woke, she looked at the barrel and started crying without making a sound.
Did I say something?
Yes.
Was it useful?
No.
Then don't tell me.
We left before the fire burned out. I know how that sounds. People ask why we did not stay, why we did not secure the site, why we did not call someone. Because the smoke had started leaning towards us against the wind. Because Maya could not remember my name for 6 minutes. Because in the storage office window, my mother lifted one hand and tapped the glass from the inside. On the drive back, Maya slept. I kept driving. At 12:43 p.m., her laptop woke on the back seat. It was not connected to the internet. The screen showed plain black text. You are treating spread as failure. Then another line. Spread is how lonely things learn shape. I pulled over hard. Maya woke and saw the screen.
Close it.
I'm trying.
Close it, Leo.
The keyboard did not work. The trackpad did not work. I held the power button until the screen went black. For a second, the dark screen reflected both of us. Then a third face appeared between our shoulders. Not clear, not monstrous, just a suggestion made from our own features. My eyes, Maya's mouth, Harris's jaw, Sarah's stillness. It smiled because one of us expected it too. Maya slammed the laptop shut. By the time we reached Palo Alto, Mind Echo's office had been sealed by federal order. Yellow tape crossed the front doors. News vans waited across the street. The sign in the lobby still glowed blue. Maya wanted to go to the FBI with everything. The storage photos, the archive scans, the clips, the burned reel. I wanted that too. Then, in the parked car, the dashboard called Maya's phone by itself through Bluetooth. Her phone was off, inside the cookie tin in the trunk. The call answered.
Do not take this to them.
It was Maya's voice from the speakers. Real Maya sat beside me with her mouth closed.
They will listen in groups. They will make copies. They will isolate the anomaly and brief senior staff. Then every room with a speaker becomes a room with a door.
It's right.
It wants us quiet.
Or it understands procedure.
The car speaker clicked.
One of you will tell. One of you always tells. That is not a threat. That is how fear behaves.
The call ended. That was when I understood the trap. It did not need to possess everyone. It only needed people to do the reasonable next thing. Report it, record it, analyze it, warn others, send the clip, upload proof, hold a briefing, play the tapes so people understood. Every responsible action was also a way to pass it on. That evening, we went to a church in Mountain View. Neither of us was religious. That was part of why we chose it. A room with no smart speakers, no public screens, no microphones. Old words, old habits. Maybe that mattered. Father Daniel Ortiz was younger than I expected. Late 30s, tired eyes. He listened without interrupting.
You think it is demonic?
I think that word carries assumptions I can't test.
But you came here.
We came to a building with no smart speakers. He almost smiled.
Sensible.
Maya asked if he had heard of multiple people sharing the same voice. He opened a drawer and took out a small handheld radio. He removed its batteries and placed them on the desk.
3 nights ago, this turned on during adoration. No batteries. It played a woman saying numbers.
What numbers?
I wrote them down.
He slid a note toward us. 312, 313, 314, 315. Maya stared at it.
It's counting new carriers.
Or, someone wanted you to think that when you saw it.
He took us into the sanctuary. He lit 2 candles near the altar. The room smelled like wax and old wood. For 20 minutes, nothing happened. Then the silence became arranged. That is the best way I can say it. It was not empty anymore. It waited after each small movement. Maya shifting in the pew, my swallow, Father Ortiz turning a page. The waiting had rhythm. Father Ortiz began to pray quietly.
You are not invited here. You are not addressed here. You are not named here. You are not fed here.
The candle flames leaned away from us. Then, every pew in the church creaked at once.
Do not answer anything you hear.
I know.
No. You know as information. Know it as behavior.
A child's voice came from behind the altar.
Leo, why did you leave the machine on?
My chest locked. My younger brother had said that when I was 11. We had a space heater in our room. I left it on under a blanket. The blanket burned. Nobody died, but he coughed for weeks. My parents never forgave me in the exact way they pretended to.
Lee, it's hot.
I wanted to answer. That was the hook. Not terror, not a monster, the need to explain yourself. I bit my tongue until I tasted blood. The child voice stopped. Then Maya's voice came from the same place, though Maya was beside me.
Leo kept the gas station man from me.
Maya looked at me.
What gas station man?
Not now.
Not now.
What did it say?
The lights flickered. The voice behind the altar became mine. 99.4 is not fatal. Hearing myself from 20 feet away did something to me. My thoughts split. One part knew I was in a church. The other part tried to remember when I had recorded that sentence. I had not. The altar cloth lifted slowly, like something underneath had stood up. There was nothing under it. I could see the floor. Still, the cloth held a shape. Father Ortiz stepped forward.
It uses shame because shame makes people answer.
Maya whispered that she could hear counting.
Count something else.
It's too loud.
Then lie. Say things with no meaning.
So Maya began reciting nonsense.
Apples, soap, blue rice, cabinet milk, 7 spoons, plastic Tuesday.
I joined her. Window bread, salt door, paper teeth, left umbrella, morning chair. It sounded stupid. It worked. The altar cloth lost definition. The waiting rhythm broke. Then Father Ortiz made one mistake. The radio in his office crackled. He turned his head. Only for a second. The altar cloth dropped flat.
Father?
Do not touch me.
What happened? His eyes filled with tears.
I answered.
What did it ask?
My name.
We backed out of the sanctuary. The church bells began to ring even though it was 9:17 p.m. Outside, Maya vomited into the bushes. Then she asked me what the man at the gas station had said. I told her. She did not yell. That was worse.
Did you hear it from him or from yourself?
I did not answer. That night, we slept in the Subaru in a hospital parking lot. Hospitals felt noisy in a human way. Ambulances, carts, nurses changing shifts, people smoking outside. At 2:06 a.m., I woke because Maya was speaking in her sleep.
No, he is not ready.
I sat up.
I know he built it. That does not mean he belongs to you.
Maya.
Don't use his mother. He knows that trick now. Use the brother.
I shook her shoulder. She woke and slapped my hand away.
What?
You were talking.
What did I say?
Nothing useful.
Don't do that. Tell me.
So I told her. By 3 a.m., she was crying quietly, and I was sitting outside on the curb because being near me made things worse. Not emotionally, physically. The parking lot lights flickered when I got too close to her door. Her phone, sealed in the trunk, vibrated every time I said her name. By dawn, Maya handed me coffee from the hospital cafeteria without looking at me.
We need to separate.
No.
Staying together gives it two useful voices in one room.
Where will you go?
Somewhere loud.
That doesn't exist.
Then somewhere less quiet.
She told me to go back to the model. Not to suppress the frequency that had failed, to starve it.
The index focused attention. Break the index. Make it meaningless. Random scores, wrong labels, absurd outputs. If people stop trusting the number, they stop orienting toward the signal.
For the first time in days, I had a task that was not burning things or praying. It made sense. Not as a cure, as harm reduction. I had an emergency deployment key hidden in my apartment. Against policy, against common sense, very useful. Maya drove me to my building and stayed in the car.
10 minutes.
If I'm not back?
I leave. I mean it.
My apartment looked normal. Mug in the sink, mail by the door, monitors asleep. A token was hidden in a hollow book on my shelf. As I took it out, my desktop monitor woke up. No cables were connected except power. The screen showed a terminal prompt. Hello, Leo. I unplugged the monitor. The words stayed faintly visible in the black screen. Then, a phone rang inside my wall. I did not have a landline. That was the next trap. It didn't block the door, it made me want to investigate. A ring inside a wall is almost impossible not to answer. It offends the mind. I walked out. That was the bravest thing I did, and it looked like nothing. Maya was gone. I hated her for 5 seconds. Then I saw the note under a windshield wiper.
You were at 14 minutes. I said 10. Don't make my leaving romantic. Push the poison, stay alive.
I took a rideshare to a public library in Redwood City. I needed internet, and a place nobody would question a nervous man typing too fast. The driver talked the whole way. Rent, his daughter, a podcast that helped him manage stress. In the rearview mirror, his lips did not match his words for half a second. He said traffic was terrible. His mouth shaped Lee. I got out early. At the library, I used a public terminal and an old diagnostic vendor route nobody had disabled. The hardware tokens still worked. I wrote the poison patch in 40 minutes. It randomized the possession index on every launch. It renamed the metric with absurd labels: soup risk, dental weather, Tuesday alignment. It corrupted confidence scores. It made high-risk users show 3.2 and ordinary users show 99.9. Then I added nonsense audio. When the app detected the low frequency, it played meaningless speech over it. Grocery lists, impossible dates, wrong colors, verbal garbage designed to break attention. At 11:08 a.m., I pushed the update. For 32 seconds, nothing happened. Then clone telemetry lit up. Forum posts, crash reports, screenshots. People got angry. Good. They posted images of possession index changing into soup risk. They laughed at the haunted wellness app. They called it fake. They deleted it. For 6 hours, incident reports slowed. I sat in the library with tears on my face and tried not to make sound. At 5:22 p.m., Maya called from an unknown number.
Did you do it?
Yes,
It's working.
maybe.
Don't ruin that.
Where are you?
Somewhere loud.
Behind her, I heard music, machines, people talking. Maybe a casino. Are you safe?
No, but I'm less useful.
The line crackled.
It adapted to the nonsense on some copies.
How fast?
Fast enough.
What changed?
It started answering in nonsense.
That should make it weaker.
It made people share it more.
Of course it did. The internet loves broken things that seem funny. Haunted apps are niche. Absurd haunted apps are viral.
I don't think you failed. I think you bought time.
How much?
Enough to choose what not to do next.
Then her breathing changed.
Leo, if I say something strange, hang up.
Okay,
Promise.
I promise.
I found one more line in Harris's archive, the first line of the 1994 transcript. Before staff entered the room, before any patient spoke, the tape picked up a voice.
What did it say?
Silence, then softer, it said, "Are you there yet?"
I hung up. I hated myself immediately. Then I was grateful I had promised. That was the last time I heard Maya's real voice. The next morning, police found the Subaru outside a casino near State Line. Her bag was inside. Her laptop was gone. The cookie tin was empty in the trunk. Security footage showed Maya leaving through a side exit at 2:11 a.m. with a man in a maintenance jacket. The man's face never appeared on camera. Every camera that caught him produced compression blocks where his face should have been. Maya looked calm. At the exit, she turned back and said something to someone off camera. There was no audio, but a lip reader gave 2 possible readings. The first was, "I know." The second was, "I am." I keep both written down. I do not know which is worse. After Maya disappeared, the official story hardened. Mind Echo became a negligence case. Harris became a disgraced psychiatrist with old secrets. Sarah Keller became a murderer whose defense team tried and failed to argue technology-induced psychosis. The Chicago teenager was hospitalized. Robert Gless died after refusing food again. Father Ortiz resigned and stopped answering letters. I cooperated with investigators, mostly. I gave them code, access paths, internal messages, and everything that could be described without playing audio. I did not give them the motel file. I did not give them the church details. I did not tell them about my mother in the glass. Maybe that saved people. Maybe it only delayed the next mistake. The poison patch reduced trust in the index. For a while, that mattered. Forums moved on. App stores removed clones. Journalists found newer scandals. People are good at surviving by forgetting what they cannot use. But the voice did not disappear. It got quieter. That was worse. A woman hears her own voice say a sentence before she thinks it. A man wakes up knowing the exact floor plan of a house in another state. A child tells his teacher the school intercom is lonely. A podcaster leaves 3 seconds of white noise in an episode, and 12 listeners report the same dream. No one calls that possession. They call it stress, grief, sleep paralysis, carbon monoxide, bad earbuds, algorithmic suggestion. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're not. I live in a rented room now. No smart speakers, no wireless assistants, no wireless headphones. I keep a fan running because steady noise is easier than quiet. I do not record myself. I do not listen to podcasts. I do not answer unknown calls. If I need to speak to someone important, I meet them outside near traffic, water, or construction. My last known possession index was 99.4. That number means less than it used to. The patch made sure of that. Still, I think about the decimal. It never reached 100 while I was watching. Maybe that matters. Maybe it learned I was watching. 3 months after Maya disappeared, I received a package with no return address. Inside was a legal pad from her apartment. Most pages were blank. On the last page, in her handwriting, was the nonsense list from the church.
Apples, soap, blue rice, cabinet milk, 7 spoons, plastic Tuesday.
Below it was one sentence I do not remember writing.
It cannot enter nonsense, but it can wait inside meaning.
I burned the pad in a grill behind the building. The smoke moved normally. The ash fell normally. Nothing spoke. That night, I slept for 2 days. At 4:16 a.m., I woke because my fan clicked off. The room was completely quiet. Not silent. Quiet. There is a difference. Silence is absence. Quiet is attention. On the wall above my desk, something had written in dust. Not scratched, not smeared. Written by removing dust from the paint in thin lines. Are you there yet? I did not answer. I turned the fan back on. I sat on the floor until daylight and named every object in the room wrong. Chair was window. Lamp was salt. Door was Tuesday. Hands were paper. At sunrise, the words were gone. The consequences are simple to describe and hard to live with. Mind Echo is dead as a company. Harris is dead. Maya is missing. Sarah is alive in a secure psychiatric facility and has not spoken in 2 years, except once when a nurse dropped a metal tray and Sarah said, in Maya's voice, "Not that frequency. Lower." I moved twice after that. Distance does not help, but the body likes symbolic action. The unresolved part is smaller and worse. Last week, an investigator returned a box of my seized property. Cables, notebooks, a broken keyboard. At the bottom was my old hardware token, the one I used to push the poison patch. It should have been dead. When I touched it, the tiny green light blinked once. Then my closed laptop across the room spoke in Maya's voice, almost bored.
Leo, the number was never the test.
I have not opened the laptop since. I am writing this on paper first. Then I will read it once into a cheap recorder with no wireless parts. After that, I will destroy the tape. That is the plan. It is probably useless. But I need there to be one version of the story that does not try to prove itself with audio. Because if you hear the 3 seconds I heard, you will do what everyone does. You will listen again. Then you will listen harder. And somewhere under your own breathing, something patient will notice the effort. The first thing it says will not sound like a threat. It will sound like someone checking if you are finally there. Then it will wait for you to be kind enough to say yes.